let's go ahead and start a new week of history. We are going to look at the map and see where we're going next. Now remember, we've been in Russia. We went to Finland, Sweden, and Norway, and then we visited England, and then we visited Spain, Portugal, and France. And then we skipped over here to Germany, Poland, and Switzerland. And then last week we skipped down to Italy and Greece. Beautiful area that way. This week we're going to scooch right on over here to the Ukraine. And I think there's a couple more. I can't remember the names of the other countries. There's a couple of other little countries right in here. Ukraine is one of them. Now let's look at our quest collector card to see what we have left. Where is the only country in the world named for its royal family? Which country's flag has the Megan David in the center? And where would you see the world's largest administrative building? We only have 3 clues that we need to find, right? All right, so let's go ahead and scoot on over here to our pages. Let's go to 171. Here we go. We are going to be looking at Romania, Lithuania, and Ukraine. And we're going to be going by fire engine. Have you ever heard a siren from a fire engine? Well, this week we'll be riding in a fire engine. Come on up, take a seat, and strap on your seatbelt. We're off to Romania, Lithuania, and Ukraine. And keep an eye out for fire engines. We will be driving past lots of history in these 3 countries. The first we pass through is Romania, where the official language is Romanian, a language similar to French, Spanish, and Italian. There's a city named Sibiu that has been here since 1191, over 800 years. It was once a very wealthy city because there were so many guilds. Guilds are groups of special crafts that people and merchants who teach others their various trades. This could be weavers, painters, shoemakers, candle makers, leather workers, stonemasons, bakers, and more. You would start out as an apprentice, then become a journeyman, and finally a master of your craft. As we drive through the small town of Sopanta, there's a cemetery called Cemitral Vessel, which means Mary Cemetery. Normally, cemeteries are very sad, quiet places where those we love are buried, and gravestones are made of gray stone. Here's a picture of the Mary Cemetery and Sibiu. Let's look at this page. Look at this, the Palace of the Romanian Parliament. That must be where they have their government. There's over 600 colorful crosses made of wood and painted in vibrant colors with pictures and poems on them. Stan Eowyn Patras started this when he was only 14, carving some 800 of the grave markers before his own death in 1977. Want to see the largest administrative building in the world? That's a clue. Well, if you do, it's the Palace of the Romanian Parliament in Bucharest. That's going to be on our quest collector card. That's number 8. Let's put that on number 8. The Palace of the Romanian Parliament. That's a long name. The Palace of the Romanian Parliament. Let me scoot on over here to our page, and we are going to write that in there. Now make sure you have your quest collector card out. We need to write this. All these other ones should be filled in. So here we go. Are you ready? Okay, first we're going to spell the word palace. Make sure you copy what I put. Of the, make sure you write well, Romanian Parliament. Parliament means government. There we go. So, where would you see the world's largest administrative building? It's the palace of the Romanian Parliament. And we better put the city, Bucharest. It's a funny name. Make sure you write this down or you'll get it wrong when we do our quiz. It's in Bucharest. Okay. Let's get back to this and find out more about the Palace of the Romanian Parliament in Bucharest. That is a big building. It's also the world's heaviest and most expensive administrative building. There you might see some Romanian money, which is called the leu and means lion. You might also want to visit the city of Timisoara. Back in the late 1800s, cities didn't have electric lights like you might have on your street. In 1884, Timisoara, Romania became the second city in the world with electric street lamps after New York City. Let's go over to the country of Lithuania. Now this is a little girl from Lithuania. You see how she's dressed? That's traditional clothing in Lithuania. Most people speak a language there called Lithuanian. People in some villages of Lithuania may wear traditional clothing of folk costumes for special days, and the style lets you know what area of the country they're from. Green and red plaid would tell people you are from a region called Ostitia. The folk costumes represent what the people might have worn a few hundred years ago, having beautiful colors, geometric designs, hats with ribbons, and shirts with sashes. Just like a sports team has a uniform, various places of the country had outfits that were important to their culture. There may have been people wearing these traditional costumes as far back as 1387, when Lithuania had its first school, which was started by the growing Christian people, and home schools that were started to train the children of royal families. They've got a long history, don't they? Let's look at this page. One more country stop. Here we are in Ukraine, where yes, the official language is Ukrainian. In so many of these countries, there's a mix of old and new. Of the old, you'll find singers who perform songs called dumas, which have been sung for several hundred years. They often sing these long poems while playing a bandura, a stringed instrument that usually has between 5 and 12 strings, though rarely as many as 68 strings. The new world of Ukraine produces a lot of steel for buildings and oil for vehicles and other things. You might also vacation by the Black Sea in the resort area of Crimea. This guy right here is playing a bandura. He must be dressed in some kind of traditional clothing. Look at this castle on the edge of a cliff. Castle Swallow's Nest on the rock in the Black Sea. This is a close-up picture of a bandura. Like this, what he's playing. This is a close-up. This man is a blacksmith. This is a trade or a guild where he learned to be a master blacksmith. Let's look at this page. If you could pick a guild to be a part of, either those mentioned or some other craft, what would you choose and why? These could include makers of armor, bakers, basket makers, blacksmiths, bow makers for arrows, butchers, carpenters, candle makers, fishmongers, those are sellers of fish, fletchers, which are arrow makers, goldsmiths, masons, those make stones, poulters, saddle makers, shipbuilders, weavers, or riders. Wow, this guy makes armor. Look at all this armor he's making. Look at his shop. You think he's been busy? That's his guild. He knows how to make armor. Of these things, what would you like to do? I bet I know. You would either be a bow maker for arrows called just a bow maker for arrows, or a fletcher, which is an arrow maker. I bet you'd like to be one of those. Maybe not. Now, think a little bit more about your guild. Which one of those you chose? Whether you create books or buildings, clothing or ships, you'll spend many years becoming a master of your trade. Think about all you would be able to do as an apprentice, journeyman, and master. So an apprentice is someone who just starts out. Let's just say you wanted to be a basket maker and you just started out and you're just learning how to do it. You're called an apprentice. And then about 5 or 6 or 7 years later, when you've done really well, then you can be a journeyman. That means you do really well, but you still make a few mistakes. But then after several years of that, you would become a master. And that way you don't make hardly any errors, and almost everything you make is just perfect. That'd be pretty neat. I'd like for you to write on your thankful page. Maybe write about a guild that you're thankful for. You know, a guild is a craft that people can do. Maybe you could write about something like that. Okay, that's all for today.